We'll pop our little buddy, get a stack here, and this is no bugs, no crit knife, no shenaniganery around here, okay? We pop our little Repkit, a bit of that, a little bit of this, and just deleted out of the game. That is so funny. Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I want to go over what I think is the most fun build to play in Borderlands 4, at least the most fun that I have had, which is this Nuclear Winter Green Tree Harlowe build. This build is an absolute blast to play. I have it set up a little bit differently than you may have seen in other videos, and that's because the way I set it up, I just wanted to opt for, one, as much damage as possible, of course, but two, I wanted it to feel very consistent. I didn't want a bunch of high highs, but then therefore low lows. I just wanted it to be in the middle, and even with it being in the middle, you can still shred bosses in seconds using multiple different weapons, but also when you're mobbing, you can use my favorite gun, the bod, and this gun works perfectly for the build. Not to mention, we are using no bugs and no crit knife as well, because all of our hits are guaranteed critical hits. As you can see, I mean, you just completely shred through stuff, and it is always consistent and feels immaculate. Not only do you carry crazy damage, and it's a lot of fun to play, but you are literally unkillable because based on your damage, you are giving yourself overshield. And not to mention, if you're playing in co-op, this is by far the best build in the entire game because you're going to be giving your friends extra ricochet chance, a ton of crit damage, all of that extra shield that you're getting, your friends are going to get, so they're unkillable. Their cooldowns will be effectively 0, and you're going to make them do like over double damage via your entanglement and also your little halo sidekick applying to them too. If you're playing in a group, this will make your friends feel like complete gods while you yourself are a god too. There's honestly no limit to how many good things I can say about this build because I really just love playing it, and I'm so happy how it turned out. If you're into RPGs and you love collecting loot, you need to check out this amazing game, which is available on PC, mobile, Mac, and for a limited time, this game is partnering with Paramount for a special crossover event featuring the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as legendary champions, all the way up until November 21st. You can collect Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, April, and of course, even Shredder. You'll get Michelangelo simply by just logging in for 7 days, lasting up until October 30th. He's super sick and was actually my favorite of the turtles growing up. He inflicts all sorts of powerful debuffs, he's super agile and great at dodging, and he'll even taunt enemies for you as well. Donatello is also pretty awesome. He's more of a support character, offering healing and some other buff related things. And of course, the rest of the crew has their own strengths as well. You can unlock each of them by doing special events too. There's even an epic special event Shredder boss fight, where if you beat him, you can get the exclusive Chronophage gear sets, which are quite good. One of my favorite things about Raid is actually doing the dungeons. They offer a ton of replayability with all sorts of different mechanics, which really encourage me to try out different champions and optimize their synergies, which always feels really rewarding. I'd highly recommend trying out Raid, and now is a better time than ever because when you register, you'll get a huge starter pack with an epic champion Tayrel, and after reaching level 15, you'll get epic Rector Drath, one of the strongest supports out there. If you're a new player, you can get one of 5 legendary champions as well by entering in their respective promo code. One that I recommend the most is the Sun Wukong Monkey King because he just looks absolutely insane. I mean, he's literally a Monkey King, but there's a ton of different options and they're very good. Make sure to click the link down below or scan the QR code on screen to get all of these awesome things. And a big thanks to Raid for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so let's just get into it. The entirety of the build will be posted over on Mobalytics in the build link description, so feel free to check that out, and I'll also have drop locations for every single legendary posted there. Getting into how the build actually functions at a baseline, basically we're taking advantage of both the Nuclear Winter Augment and the Group Study Capstone. The skill tree looks scuffed, I promise you that it isn't, and I'll go over it in a second. But the way that Nuclear Winter works is whenever you have your Flux Generator active, you're going to deal bonus cryo damage. This bonus cryo damage is actually going to count as action skill damage, therefore we can take advantage of a lot of things such as Excited State, where anytime you damage an enemy with an action skill, your next shot on that enemy will be a guaranteed crit. So you can see here, I'll pop my little guy, and then I'll shoot this mob, and every single shot will be a critical hit. As a result of every shot being a critical hit on that enemy, we gain a whole bunch of ricochet chance if we want to, but namely we get critical funding where whenever you land critical hits on an enemy, you gain a chance to then entangle it, so we guarantee entangle everything, and we refill a portion of our magazine. So you can see with my bod here, I literally never have to reload, I can just spam into this, and you can do this with effectively any gun and take advantage of absolutely massive fire rate. Then we go and grab the capstone, the Halo sidekick, so this is floating above us at all times, And every time that we reactivate it, so you can see here I have it floating, and if I press my F, I'll get 1 stack at the very bottom there, of my Halo sidekick. And for every single stack, it's going to make the Halo drain a little bit faster, but it's going to give us 25% more gun damage, 10% fire rate, and 10% reload speed. On average, I am sitting at about 4 to 5 stacks, and that is where you can sustain it basically infinitely with one of our class mods. If you go above the 4 to 5 stack range, the duration rate drain will be too fast for us to sustain, and that is how a lot of other people set up their builds, is they basically don't go fully into green tree, and therefore they're unable to get critical funding, and they go into the blue tree and get the ability to freeze enemies, and then they freeze the duration on their Halo so that they can keep stacking it up. The reason that I don't do this is I found that I prefer to just have the damage be consistent and very high, because we're able to get so much other damage elsewhere, and critical funding makes it to where if you don't have to ever reload, you can do ungodly amounts of boss damage, and it just feels crazy good for mobbing. You don't have to be stressed out about losing your Halo sidekick and freezing more mobs. You can just play a very chill, relaxed playstyle where the damage is always high and you don't have to worry about losing your stack. I think overall for most people, this is just going to feel better. And one thing that we're taking advantage of with this build that you don't have to, but I really like for extra damage, is distribution function. Whenever your action skill damages an enemy, which Nuclear Winter counts as an action skill, we are going to then restore a portion of our shield capacity, and if your shield is full, you then gain overshield. You can see right here, I'll just wait a second so my overshield goes away. Drain my shield a bit, and you can see if I just shoot this guy, I instantly gain back all my shield and immediately gain a full overshield. And that overshield is based on how much damage you actually do. So if you're doing hundreds of thousands of damage, you're basically just going to instantly fill your shield, which pairs very, very well with an amp shield, where when your shield is full, you drain some of that shield to then gain gun damage, and whenever we have overshield, we gain 25% shock damage. This is optional, but I found that this gives you a pretty significant damage increase, especially on bosses. It is very noticeable, but it is completely optional. I'll talk more about that when we get into the shield. And then our class mod, if you get one with Savant, if it can roll up to 5 points in this blue skill. And this blue skill is crazy, where basically when you kill an enemy, you're going to refund some of your action skill duration. So if you're killing enemies, you can keep up your Halo sidekick as long as you don't activate too many stacks where it drains too fast. When it comes to the skill tree, we go 5 into momentum for some crit damage. It's not a ton of damage, but this does apply to your teammates as well, which is pretty cool. And then neutron decay. Neutron decay, I will say, when you're using the bod, it's like effectively never active. Even on bosses, it's not active because you're not going to be irradiating enemies very much, because you don't do a ton of radiation damage, but there's nothing else to really spec into. And you don't want more shield, because if your shield is a higher capacity, then it is harder to be at maximum capacity to take advantage of the amp, because it is percentage based. Talk more about that later, but you just do this for the off chance that you get some stacks. It happens every once in a while. And then we go Creative Overflow, where you deal more damage based on your overshield. So this is pretty good on bosses. And then Confirmative Reality. So anytime that our action skill is down, if we shoot an enemy with a critical hit, we are then going to entangle them. And then because they are entangled, every hit will restore our cooldown. So you can see I'll let my cooldown kind of just like fall off right here. And you can see that this enemy is not entangled. And if I shoot them, they instantly get entangled. All my shots are critical hits, and I instantly got my sidekick back. And you don't even have to be in your sidekick to have a lot of your damage. It does enable a lot of your damage through Nuclear Winter, of course, but it is not like mandatory, I guess, in order to get all your stuff going, and you still do good damage even when you're out of it, which is a really good part of the setup. Also, this applies to all of your teammates, and it works even when you're in your sidekick, so your teammates will not have any cooldown at all. Then in the middle tree, we're going to go 2 into Gamma Ray and 3 into Certainty Principle. You don't want too much gun handling, because then it'll nerf the projectile speed. That is a bug. And then there's also a Gamma Ray Burst here, which gives you increased damage, but it drains your shield anytime you activate your flux. And because we want our shield up, you don't want to put all your points into this, so I just put 2 and 3. Then Critical Funding, so you have infinite ammo, of course. And then Meltdown, your crits with guns deal bonus radiation damage, and we have 100% crit chance via Excited State here. You only have to put 1 point into this. If you're in a group, I would recommend going full points into Refraction. And honestly, this is probably better overall anyway, just for mobbing. I'll probably have that in the actual guide. For bossing, I just wanted a little bit more crit damage, because crit damage and skill tree you get double value out of. So it helps you with your boss damage a little bit, but not a ton. This is optional. And then 5 into Distribution Function, so you get all that shield restoration. Then we go 5 into Decoherence, which is just a 25% multiplicative damage bonus. And then we get 4 into Feedback Loop, so we get a percentage-based increased duration to our actual Halo sidekick. This just helps stack it up, keeping it active all the time, basically. And It gives you a little bit of action skill damage, which increases your damage a tiny bit. If you wanted more boss damage, you could swap the points out of feedback loop into latent charge, but I prefer meltdown over latent charge because meltdown is just more consistent and always happens, where latent charge you have to have like full overshield for it to be particularly good. But if you're fighting a boss that is like radiation weak, or not weak, strong to radiation, then your damage would be higher with latent charge, and the inverse would be true as well. And yeah, I mean, it looks stupid to have 49 points in green, but these points are crazy high damage. A lot of them are multipliers, and it is just so much extra bonus straight up damage, and it's much more damage than you're going to get going elsewhere in the tree. All right, let's get into the gear. I would say this is probably the only downside of the build, is for it to feel pretty good. You need a good class mod. I'll talk about the class mod in a second, but for the weapon, we're using a bod. A bod is my favorite gun in the game. It just counts as all weapons, so it not only feels really nice to use, but also it's easy to synergize with when it comes to your enhancement and stuff, because everything on your enhancement, whether it be SMG, sniper, shotgun, whatever, will apply to the bod. The bod also, because it is a shotgun, it shoots out projectiles, so every single time that you shoot, you effectively have a guaranteed chance. It's like, on average, every 2 shots, you'll get 5 ammo added back, so you easily have infinite ammo with critical funding, so it feels perfect for the build. You can use basically any roll of the bod that you want. Make sure though that you do not use one that is a COV, because the way that COV works is it doesn't actually count as like ammo in the magazine. It counts as like charge or whatever. So when you're using COV, you won't get the ammo back. When it comes to what secondary fire you want, I found for pure boss DPS, I think SMG is better. For mobbing, you can use literally anything, and the difference between like the best secondary fire on bossing, it's very minimal. I've tried literally all of these ones that I have here. Just make sure that you get one that's kinetic. If it is cryo or something, it will do less damage. I've also found if you have one with torch stickies, the stickies do ungodly amounts of damage. Unfortunately, bosses don't have enough HP for you to actually fully take advantage of this, but if you use stickies, usually they take a second to tick out, right? But using this on the bod, because every pellet applies a sticky, you're applying hundreds of stickies to an enemy, and they basically instantly die the second that you decide to detonate them. So I'm pretty sure you're doing enough damage to basically kill that enemy 5 times over. So if it was like a raid boss or something, this might actually be the best raid bossing build in the game, paired with a bod with stickies. So I would look out for that. But if you're just like average, normal playing the game, just use any bod, and that will probably, it'll feel great for mobbing, and for bossing, you just walk up to the guy and just blast him in the head, and it feels amazing. Outside of that, you can use all sorts of different weapons. I found the root to do a little bit more boss damage than the bod does. However, you basically need it to have Atlas Tracker, or else it's going to feel pretty crappy, and you're able to kill the mobs before the magazine really matters. It's funny though, because fire rate is something we get on this build, and it barely benefits the root. Something else that you can use, I've been using this stray to apply the target marker. I didn't even know it had this, but it makes you do a little bit of extra boss damage, which is quite nice. You can use like Katagawa's Revenge, if I have one on me. Here it is. You can use a Katagawa's Revenge for mobbing. It's pretty decent, but I just like feeling like the feeling of the bod. Katagawa's might be slightly better if you build around it, but you have to build around it. It's way easier to just build around the bod. Another good option is, if you happen to have one, is a Chaosin. On bosses, it does pretty well because it's a high fire rate weapon, so the fact that you don't have to reload and you have really high fire rate works pretty well with it, but you need like a Vladoff enhancement probably, and it is sticky based, and I do think the bod does even more damage than it because it's 5 projectiles rather than 2, but keep that in mind if you have that and you want to kill bosses. That's another option. I've tried the convergence with this. I don't really like it. It's mainly because it's elemental. If you like the convergence and you have a good roll, you can try it, but I mean, all you really need is the bod. Repkit, I like to use a Warpaint that has Chrome and Enrage on it. The movement speed and fire rate feels good, and Enrage is nice for bosses. Grenade, we don't have to use a crit knife for this build, like I mentioned, so because you have a 100% crit chance. So you can just use anything you want. I literally never throw this. I just have it on just so it shows a grenade icon rather than a knife, because if it has a knife, people have an aneurysm. The class mod, you want a Savant. It doesn't really matter what rolls on it, other than getting as many points into the blue skill as possible. It is hard to get this. It took me, I think, like 3 hours of splash zone farming to get a +5 Savant. Maybe I got lucky, I don't know. It actually has maximum shield capacity on it, which is technically a nerf, which I'll talk about in a sec. But getting gun damage, kinetic damage, if you could get action skill duration, that would be completely godly. And then, of course, you want it to have points into control group, because this gives you action skill duration every time you get a kill, so this helps you stay in your Halo sidekick with like 4 or 5 stacks activated. If you don't have points into this, you just want to sit around like 2 to 3 stacks of Halo sidekick, it'll still feel good, just not as good, and once you get a good one, it'll obviously feel a lot better. This does effectively 0 on bosses, and I've been using it on bosses, and it's not helping my damage at all. You could probably use something that gives you more damage, like this would be good. I have kinetic and shotgun damage. Do I have anything else? Maybe just like for bosses, you just want anything that just gives you a lot of damage. I picked this one up, kinetic, gun damage, splash damage. This would be very good for my torque sticky setup, but I never used it. I just picked up a whole bunch of stuff just to kind of see what would roll on here. But yeah, that is what I would recommend. And then the shield. So the shield's pretty interesting. For a while, I was just using a normal Watts for Dinner. This one with Siphon on it, just so I had the extra shock damage all the time. And then I tried out this shield with the amp, and then I was like, my damage is actually pretty good. And I would think that the damage wouldn't be that much better, because with the amp, it's harder to have overshield active, so then you don't have creative overflow up as much. And I used to go latent charge, but now I just go into meltdown, and I take advantage of amp, and amp makes it so when your shield is full, your shots drain a percentage of the shield, and it gives you extra gun damage. It seems like there's a grace period on this amp. Maybe I'm stupid, but just anecdotally from using it, I've tested having it on and having it off, and I certainly do way more damage when I have it on. And ideally, you want it to be on a shield that has as low of a capacity as possible, because the amp is draining percentage based. So if I were to have this shield that has 15,000 capacity, right? If it's draining 30% of that, it's going to drain 5,000 capacity, which means to then benefit from the amp, I'm going to have to gain another 5,000 shield. But if it's half of that, say 2,000, I only have to gain 2,000 shield. So it's much easier to actually get the shield refund from your damage dealt in order to benefit from the amp a higher percentage of the time. So the Watts for Dinner is perfect for this. It actually drops pretty commonly on the Watts. It's pretty rare on other shields, but on the Watts, because it's like a technical anti-synergy, it seems to have a higher drop rate. I saw multiple of these when I was farming for it. And it works pretty well because once you have high enough damage, every single shot overshields you. So you get the shock damage as well as the amp. And then I just got Evasive here. I think I would prefer to have, I don't know if you can get it, but if you could get Siphon as well, that would be perfect because you get even more shielding. And if you had Vagabond, that would work great too. So we're kind of doing like an amp thing, but you don't have to. You could just use this, and I did that for quite a while and it was perfectly fine. Or use any other shield you want, like the Super Soldier for more fire rate and movement speed. And then for your enhancement here, I really like this Daedalus one to give you extra fire rate. It feels pretty good. Especially because the bod is a Daedalus weapon, of course. So the extra fire rate feels pretty good. It stacks up on bosses easily because you never reload. And the good thing about the bod is it counts as all weapons, so you can get anything that you get on your enhancement will apply to the weapon. Ideally, I would want like 2 types of gun damage, like shotgun, sniper gun damage, and then I'd probably want 1 roll of fire rate. The mag size is kind of wasted, and obviously gun equip speed is trash, so this is not a particularly good enhancement. If I had a really good one, the boss kills would probably be a full second faster, which would be pretty nice. And then if you're using a complex route, try to get, there's an Atlas one that like, I don't have it on me, but it like gives you more damage when mobs have a tracker dart on them. So that can be pretty good. And I also was using, I think I was using my Jacobs one. This one with sequencer on it because my route is Jacobs. So it was gaining that damage, and it had gun damage and mag size on it. So that was pretty decent, but neither here nor there. Most of the time you just want to use the bod anyway. I just wanted to show a funny kill with the root because it can do quite a lot of damage. Firmware, 3 Deadeye, always, lots of crit damage. Crit damage is good. And then 2-piece bullets to spare. I just like the mag size and the fire rate. You could probably go something else here. Whatever you want. I think this overall just feels pretty good. I guess technically, I guess we can check together real quick. So there's a little firmware guide I can pull up here. And rather than 2-piece, 2-piece, what's it called, bullets, you could do 1-piece. What would actually be helpful here? Reload speed doesn't really matter. Gun reload speed. Okay, so all the 1-pieces are basically useless to you. Maybe God Killer for damage to badasses, but like honestly it doesn't really matter. So I guess you could do, you're never low HP anyways. Yeah, I would probably just do bullets. It's perfectly fine, and it's like versatile. Spec Tree, I am a gun because you do actually deal some amount of action skill damage, not much. And then I use Contamination just to get a higher likelihood of applying Irradiate, but it basically never does it anyways. So on average, and what I'll put in the guide is Now with Caffeine, so you can just Repkit anytime that you lose your action skill and get it right back. And then I have Honed Mind for increased action skill crit damage. It buffs your damage very, very slightly. Technically, the best defense would be better if you had enough points, but I don't on my Harlowe. And Riddle You This is by far the best because it's just 50% gun damage pretty much all the time. Alright, as is customary, I'll do a little drill site action here. So when it comes to actually playing the build, it's pretty simple. You just want to press your Halo sidekick and reactivate it every once in a while. And then you just shoot at guys. And I use my Repkit on cooldown just so I get the extra buff there. And yeah, you can see even at just one stack of my sidekick, I don't have to wait for stuff to get, like, to slowly kind of ramp up. I can just instantly start blasting. Okay, I was not killing mobs there, so I just died. But you can see if I actually shoot at the mobs that are terrorizing me, then I just get my shield back and we're chilling. And every kill, I'm going to refund a lot of my duration. And there we go. So already I'm at 4 stacks, and this is where I'm comfortable. I usually just sit around 4. You could do 5 if there's enough mob density, especially if you're in a group. You'll have more than enough mob density to kind of keep it up at 5, but you can see 4 is more than enough damage to basically look at mobs and insta-beam them. You can see I got a little boss here, and something I really love about the build is on tanky mobs, just infinite ammo to just blast the ever-living crap out of them. And that's with 4 stacks, right? Like, I didn't have to do this drill site 4 times to get a whole bunch of damage active. It just is like that. Now, if I want to, I guess there's some mobs over here, so that's cheating, but I won't cheat. I can just reactivate the drill site, and you can see I'll get a few kills, and I'll refund all my duration, and I'm chilling. I don't have to stress about losing my stacks or anything. But even if I do lose my stacks, which I'll just do real quick, I'll just drain it, and I won't kill anything. Just to kind of show it. If I drain it, okay, oh no. GG, my life is over. See, I can still kill stuff. Right? I had to reload, so not ideal there. But I can still kill these guys, and then I get my stuff back, and I'm back in it, and my damage is still crazy high. And I don't have to worry about anything. And if you are using Now with Caffeine, you can just pop another Repkit, and you'll basically get it back immediately. That's particularly helpful on bosses, which we'll talk about in a sec when we go do a vault. But yeah, you can see this is very, very good for farming. Especially good because all the buffs that you're giving to your teammates, so they are going to absolutely love you. If you play this build, good luck playing with friends because they're never going to want you to play anything else ever again because this just feels so perfect. But also, I mean, to be honest with you, you're going to have a ton of fun as well. You just do so much damage, and this drill site is particularly annoying. These guys like blow up all the time, but still perfectly fine in terms of tankiness there. And yeah, now let's go do a vault. Alright, here we are at the vault. I don't even have my cooldown back just from traveling over here. We'll pop our guy, and we're off to blasting. And everything already just, you know, melts. And you can see guys get ricocheted off screen, so then basically everything gets entangled off the screen, which is pretty cool. And if you had more points into the ricochet, which I currently don't actually, you'd probably do a little bit more ad clear, I guess, because like Entangle share by default is a pretty low value, but if you're doing like more ricochets per second, I guess, then maybe the damage that you deal to one guy will actually fully ricochet and kill something else. But it's pretty rare that happens. You can see like I killed that guy and now this guy like lost his shield, but the entangle percentage share is only 4% of damage dealt, right? Or 4 or 7 or something, so it's pretty low. The lens, Elemental Eater. Well, Elemental Eater doesn't matter for us. That's pretty good. You can see we are chilling. I was only at two stacks there because I was just too lazy to press the button. And going from like room to room, I guess I'll lose it here, but that's not a big deal. I'll just let myself lose it. And ideally I would have Now with Caffeine on, just so the second I lose it, I would just boom Repkit and I'd already have it back. And you could use a Repkit that gives it to you back for bossing, but you can see I shoot guys for 1 second there and I get it back. And that's only because there's like an enormous amount of downtime, right? Going from each zone, and I'm not like trying to play around it or do anything particular. I'm just having a good time kind of playing how I'd play if I was just chilling, you know? I think that's kind of the best quality a build can have, is to just like always feel good. You don't have to worry about any garbage. It's just like you pull out your gun, you shoot the guys, and it does damage. And it's cool that you can like decide, okay, I want to press my Halo buddy more, and I want to do even more damage right now, just to kind of see how you can really juice it up. You know, if I like get up to 5 stacks or something, or 6 stacks. I can just keep going and see how much damage can I really do. Like, the upward potential of it is pretty high, but you don't have to do that to perform well. But you can like cheese it, go into a boss with a whole bunch of stacks, right, and completely nuke the boss, which is pretty funny. But if you're playing like the other version of the build right there, like doing this sort of content with the other version, it's just impossible, because you're just going to lose your stuff every time, even if you like are playing around it perfectly. It just drains way too fast for you to really do anything. That's why I don't like playing around like really high stacks on the Halo, because it's just stressful and it's unnecessary. And also, when you use like a SMG or something else, you run into a whole bunch of ammo problems. Really, really annoying. And you can't get the ammo refund. And the ammo refund is cool because it actually doesn't count as spending the ammo, right? Because you're refunding actual ammo as opposed to simply bullets. So you're fully topped off on ammo at all times. I should probably use my sidekick here. I haven't been playing with this build a lot, so I don't have like full muscle memory of using the sidekick, and I'm also just like yapping to you guys. But overall, feels great, and you can see I got pretty low there, and then just actually shot the guy and instantly killed him, and instantly healed up. Now we're at the boss. So what I want to do for the boss, this guy is a shock guy, so I like to use the root. So what I'll do is I'll swap over to my Jacob's class mod that I like to use on this boss, just to show the root off. But you can use the other weapon, it's perfectly fine. I think the root just kills this guy in particularly a little bit faster. And it's a nice YouTube intro clip. We'll pop our little buddy, get a stack here, and this is no bugs, no crit knife, no shenaniganery around here, okay? We pop our little Repkit, a bit of that, a little bit of this, and just deleted out of the game. That is so funny. Yeah, the complex root is pretty good on bosses, especially because mine is shock, so it's really good there. If you got one in like all different elements to do every particular boss, you could just insta-kill them, but it is a little annoying to use. It's pretty precarious. I didn't even have 3-piece Deadeye there. If you had 3-piece Deadeye and you always have the tracker dart, you can use it all the time. But let's say right now I just finished the boss, and as you can see, my Halo is draining, so I have 2 options. My first option is that I can just quit to the main menu and come back, and that is often actually faster for farming bosses, because you can see I can do this load pretty fast. If you're on console, maybe not the case, but I can do this load pretty quick, and it's faster than actually running all the way through like the thing where the red chest is. But let's say, you know, I wanted to get that red chest, so quickly I'll do a spec swap here. What I would do is I would just have Now with Caffeine on when I'm farming bosses, and I'd probably opt for a Repkit that has multiple charges on it, and maybe even one that has, I don't even have one on me, but let's just do this one. It has 2 charges, right? And it doesn't even have act and skill cooldown rate. And I'll just do the stickies on this guy, I guess, because that seems fun. One thing to note about bossing, you do not, if I pop my Halo sidekick right here, the Halo sidekick will get stuck in the middle of the air. If you're going from platform to platform, sometimes it won't follow you. So that's why you don't like pre-stack it. So is what it is. You can see I'll just pop it here. I'll get like 1 stack or whatever. Not a big deal. And then I'll pop a Repkit, and I'll get another stack, and then I'll just start blasting all my little guys here, and I'll let it get to 3 stacks, and then I'll just reload. And you can see he dies. I didn't really get that many stickies on him at all, to be honest, because that guy's a bit annoying and flies around and stuff, but he still died nonetheless very, very easily. I actually prefer to use a normal bod. It kills him a little bit faster than the stickies do, but the stickies are like technically overall more damage. But yeah, so now you can see I'm out of my Halo. So if I just wanted to farm this guy, what I would do is I would just boom, pop 2 Repkits, and you can see I already have my Halo back. So by the time that I run over there, reset it, and come back, I would have it back. Hopefully that answers everything that you guys need to know. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and more importantly, you enjoy the build, because it is a ton of fun to play with. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, yada yada. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and peace out, gamers.